This is lecture 5. Siddhartha is Samsara. This chapter, we're going to talk about pleasure. We're going to talk about happiness. We're going to talk about sex is like death. We're going to talk about songbird in this chapter. So let's get cracking. This one should be kind of short. You're welcome. All right. So there is a point. Well, first, you should know what Samsara means. It means cycle of like birth and rebirth. And there's a lot of ways to look at this. The cycle of life, seasons, whatever. There's also kind of like the cycle of pleasure, how one goes and try to seek kind of pleasure and highs, and then comes back down. So it starts out, and Siddhartha's like, that part of me that had been different has faded. And let's find out what has happened. Slowly, as moisture seeps into a dying tree trunk, slowly filling it up and making it rot, worldliness and lethargy had crept into Siddhartha's soul, making it slowly, making it heavy, making it weary, putting it to sleep. At the same time, however, his senses had come to life. They had learned many things, experienced many things. So, you get this deepening sense of pleasure with like gambling, with the food that he consumes, and also like with the women that he is with. And it's mentioned many times that he'll be around like dancing girls, like kind of this like harem prostitute kind of thing, which, let's keep in mind, he still maintains the most intimate emotional connection, and kind of his prime love, question mark, is with Kamala. So not sure how you want to balance those two. Notice too that he, among these child people, he's taken on some of their characteristics in terms of like the pursuit of pleasure. However, yet he envied them more. He came to resemble them. He envied the one thing they possessed that he was lacking: the importance they were capable of attaching to their lives, their passionate joys and fears, their happiness, uneasy but sweet, of their eternal infatuations. Right. So he envies happiness in people. He has all these things. He doesn't have that interior sense of happiness, and so he's stuck on this, and he keeps thinking about it. All this is weighing on his mind, his soul. He tells some of it to Kamala, and she kind of tells him, what, I was thinking about leaving too. And then she arounds him, the love play, right? She was trying to squeeze the last drop from this vain, transitory pleasure. Never before had seemed so strangely clear to Siddhartha how closely sensuality was linked to death. So, they do the act of love, and in some ways, after he's laying her side vanquished, so to speak. That's another cycle, right, of pleasure, of climax, of coming back down, and being like, right? So he recognizes this pleasure. Interestingly enough, he notices for the first time this weariness in Kamala's beautiful face. Weariness from walking a long path with no goal. He notices the wrinkles in her, and he takes his leave of her. His soul full of reluctance and secret apprehensions. There's something in his soul. He goes and he has a very important dream. I kind of feel like this chapter should have been titled Songbird. He has a dream in which Kamala keeps a rare songbird. And in it, he wakes up, the songbird's dead. He takes it and throws it out without thinking about it, and then kind of is struck with horror, like, what have I done? And so in a lot of ways, Siddhartha is throwing away the interior part of himself, that part that searched for the truth, that part that was the voice of his soul, so to speak. He is throwing that away in this world of pleasure. Once he realizes this, how tedious this path has been, right? Only Kamala had been dear to him, right? They were playing a game. This game is called Samsara, a game for children. A game we've played sweetly, perhaps once, twice, 10 times, but again and again, right? Siddhartha realized the game was over. He could no longer play it. A shudder coursed through his body. Within him, he felt something had died. And that's kind of what has died, is like his desire, his willingness to participate in this life of riches, of opulence, of wealth, of pleasure that he has created. So he leaves without saying goodbye to anyone. Notice that, right? It was that surprising moment. In fact, that Siddhartha doesn't go and tell Kamala. He doesn't tell Kamaswami. He leaves. Kamaswami kind of thinks he got kidnapped. Kamala knows that, what has actually happened. And then, she goes to the songbird, she releases it. She doesn't allow any more suitors. She received no visitors, and sure enough, she had gotten pregnant from their last encounter. So we'll see what happens. It's a beautiful chapter. He realizes that there is something that has fallen asleep, his soul, whereas pleasure has skyrocketed. His soul falls asleep. He realizes he's not happy. He realizes that pleasure, even the most intimate pleasure, sex, resembles death in certain ways. And then he leaves, and seemingly leaving behind nothing. Now he leaves behind a child and a wife, not a wife, but a lover, and goes off to kind of protect that songbird once again, to find that voice of his soul. So that's where we leave him. Next time we'll catch up to him down by the river, living in the van. All right, time to quiz.